Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be on this show where we discuss all things books. While it's a world of creativity, innovation, plenty of fun, joy, and so on, sadly, it's also a world of conflicts that we live in, whether it's in Yemen or Sudan or Ethiopia or Ukraine or Gaza. Wars everywhere. How we wish there are no wars in our world, but then it is what it is. But it's not just at the international level that we have conflicts. At organizational, societal, family, and even individual levels, we have conflicts. Husbands versus wives, divorces, every day, every now and then, conflicts in our world. Well, we've got a guest this week who has written a fabulous book that deals with the subject of conflict. It's right there on your screen. This gentleman is brilliant. He lives in North America, and we're hoping this is the first of many books he'll be writing on this subject and other related subjects. Well, let's get to meet with him and then enjoy our conversation exploring his book that you will find very useful when it comes to understanding and resolving conflicts.
Laserian Ugoh is a psychiatric rehabilitation coordinator, a medical worker, and an author. Ugoh holds a bachelor's degree in philosophy from the University of Ibadan, a master's degree in education from the University of Maryland Global Campus, and a doctorate in mediation and conflict resolution from the Graduate Theological Foundation, amongst others. He is a professional mediator with concentration in alternative dispute resolution, ADR. He is the founder of Truth and Reconciliation Corner, a non-profit mediation project. Laserian Ugoh joins Channels Book Club to discuss his book, Conflict Resolution and De-Escalation Strategies.
Dr. Ugoh, nice to have you on Channels Book Club. Welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Well done. I know you are in Maryland, USA at the moment. How are things over there?
Well, I spoke to a friend in Nigeria and they say they are surviving. I think we're surviving here too. We're surviving everywhere in the world. Yes, we're good. We're not complaining.
Oh, good to hear, good to hear, good to hear. Well done. Congratulations on your book, Conflict Resolution and De-Escalation Strategies. At no other time has a book become so relevant, because right now all over the world there is Russia and Ukraine problems, Israel and Lebanon and Iran and all sorts of things happening all over the world. And if there's any time anybody should be reading and thinking about some of the things you've shared in your book, I think it's right about now. And not just, your book does not just address global conflicts, but also even very, very private, personal conflicts at all levels. So well done. Conflict resolution and de-escalation strategies. Can you please introduce us to this book and share with us the motivation behind it?
Right. As you rightly said a few seconds ago, but the conflicts all over the world. It starts from within. If you don't have peace, you're not going to give peace. That's just the way. There's no other way around it. So it starts from the individual. It goes to the family. It goes to the community, and then the entire society. So I was thinking about this, and coupled with the fact that I mingled with a couple of students. They were actually my students, high school students here, and they'll be bickering, having issues with each other. And eventually, I called one or two of them to reason with me, and let's see how we can make peace in the classroom, first of all, and then see how we can take it beyond there. And in the course of our meeting, we came up with this whole idea. I would say this whole idea started with my students in the classroom, started with my students in the classroom in South Dakota. And so, well, when I wrote my doctoral thesis, I said, well, why don't I use this young people's brain a little bit? And from then, we developed this into a book addressing issues, conflicts from the home and then up to the entire universe, as you can see everywhere in the world right now. You mentioned Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Israel, and all of that whole Middle East, and even in our home country, Nigeria. We need peace. And so that was my motivating factor. These were my motivating factors anyway.
Okay, before we dig in, because I would like to carry viewers along right from the beginning, what would you describe as perhaps the central, should I use the word thesis or idea of your book? Of course, it's about conflicts generally, but I know there is a primary thrust or primary thrusts, of your book, which I would like you to establish right from the beginning, as we try and dig in more into your book.
Right. Here we say it's not having conflict is just one thing. Addressing conflicts is another. And the whole steps, the whole method, the whole attitude towards the de-escalation. No, the addressing. Let me not use the word de-escalation because I'm coming to that. The whole attitude to conflicts makes a big difference. Two people might be having a problem. Just simple thing. All they need is just somebody who can be the referee in the middle. All right, to say, okay, what's this whole problem about? What are we fighting about? Now, Mr. A says, well, this is my problem. Mr. B says, well, this is my issue with A. And so the middleman there, the mediator, when I say, okay, here, I see, I've heard from both of you. Now, how can we de-escalate this whole issue between both of you? And at the end of the day, the two disputants have to come together and say, okay, now I'm going to shift my position each time, until eventually we arrive at a compromise. All right. So this is, that's the only way I think we can go about it. And it goes beyond that anyway, which we will talk about later in the interview.
Well, I think that is depicted in page 17 thereabout. There's a photo in your book, the second chapter, where there are two gentlemen. I think this picture is to illustrate what you're trying to say. There are two gentlemen who are having a conflict, and then there's the mediator in the middle of the two gentlemen. I think that's the classic illustration, right? This photo Absolutely. Is a classic illustration of the mediator trying to get two people who are having a conflict to begin to perhaps find a middle ground, find a resolution, right? And Absolutely. Of course, you use the iconic photo, I think that's about page 10 or so, this iconic photo of Bill Clinton, that's in the first chapter, standing in between, when are we going to see this again, by the way? Standing in between Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Oh, wow. The world is waiting to see a picture like this. again. And I think this picture depicts the theme of your book, right?
Absolutely. Yes. You see, this picture of Clinton and the two gentlemen there, the Palestinian leader and the Israeli leader, plus these two, the one on page 17 about the two individuals having conflict. We're talking about this for those who don't have the book, and then that one. All right. So now the whole idea is that there has to be a referee. In the legal system, you will call this person a judge. All right. Two people are dragging a piece of land somewhere. They'll kill themselves if nobody steps in. And so the judge says, okay, hey, I've heard from this guy, I've heard from this guy. So now I'm going to make a ruling. All right. But this is not what we do in mediation. And mediation is a total kettle of fish. We don't rule. We don't rule. The mediator has no authority to rule and say, hey, Mr. A, this is your property, take it. The judge can do that, but no, in mediation, we reason. We use reasoning and say, okay, now tell me, Mr. A, how this piece of land belongs to you. But no, don't tell me. You're talking to each other. And you're talking to each other. Not even, I'm just here to direct traffic, as it were. All right. So at the end of the day, then reasoning prevails. For the most part, reasoning prevails.
Oh, well, there is a story. There's a story in your book, a humorous story in your book, where husband and wife live in the same house for 10 years. They are not talking to each other in the same house. And somebody might wonder, is that possible? Of course, it is possible. They live in the same house. They are not talking to each other. Then the man gets a call for a job, which he considers to be very important, which he even thinks maybe this job might even save his marriage. And he's asked to report for the job, for an interview, a particular morning, I think the following morning or something, he wrote. And because he's not talking to his wife, and he knows that he normally does not wake up on time, he's in a dilemma because he's not talking to his wife, who could wake him up on time, and he's at the risk of losing his job. I mean, that's job opportunity. So what does he do? He takes a piece of paper and writes on it for his wife, please wake me up tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then places the paper beside his wife. Then she wakes up sometime in the middle of the night, sees the paper, and then when it was 6 a.m., she wrote at the back of the paper, it's 6 a.m., wake up, and places it beside him. Of course, he wakes up very late. That was a good one. So you use that story to illustrate the dangers, the many things we lose out on in life because of conflicts, even right at domestic level, and then escalating that to maybe organizational level or even national level, international level, right? Is that correct?
Think about tit for tat. That's what's happening in the Middle East right now. You put missiles my way, okay, I will retaliate somehow. Probably you shot about 3 missiles to me, I'm going to shoot about 10 missiles to you. All right. So here it is, bringing it back to this story of this couple. You cannot talk to me, okay? Now you resort to writing me tests on a piece of paper. Oh, that's fine. If that's how you want us to live in this house, I'll take you up that way. And then I'll write on a piece of paper too. We cannot talk to each other. All right? You cannot talk to me, I cannot talk to you. And then this is where a mediator's role becomes important. Because at this point, somebody got to break the ice. Somebody got to step in and say, okay, why are we not talking to each other? Is there any way we can talk instead of, fight? All right? Now, in a situation where two people are having misunderstanding, we bring it back to these two individuals now. Whatever the issues were, nobody knew. And of course, the book doesn't say it, but at least it's some kind of domestic issue. And there were only two of them that lived in the house, no babies, no neighbors, no relatives living with them. And so how can they live in the same house without talking to each other? See, the whole lesson here is that, okay, somebody got to talk to the other. I mean, if there's such a stalemate, somebody got to break it. Somebody got to break the stalemate. Otherwise, we'll live there. And then in this case, how this man lost a whole big opportunity that would have changed their lives forever because of it, the fact that they weren't talking. The wife did what she was supposed to do. Hey, you're not talking to me. You don't have the courage to talk to me as somebody who shares the same roof with you. Now I don't have the courage to tell you to wake up for your interview. I'll write a piece of paper and give to you. And that's what's happening in our society. And that's why things are not getting the way they're supposed to get. We have to discuss issues. Whether it's an issue in the family, an issue in the society, or between the government and the agitators or the whatever groups they are, somebody got to talk to them. But then again, the method, it's just the key.
One of the concepts you share in your book, you described it as, well, in trying to define terminologies you used in your book. You made an attempt at describing what you call conflict transformation. I like that a lot. I'll read, I think from page 15, you wrote, conflict transformation is the process by which conflicts are transformed into peaceful outcomes. It recognizes that contemporary conflicts require more than the reframing of positions and the identification of win-win outcomes. You were quoting Mayall, 2004, in your book. But I like the idea of the process by which conflicts are transformed into peaceful outcomes. And so I'll tie that into a question. I noticed you have a PhD in conflict resolution. I don't know, maybe that's, I mean, yeah. So now, I noticed in your book that there are methodical ways, proven methods for resolving conflicts. And you went about in your book even illustrating them and describing what to do in situations where you want to play the role of a mediator, what to do, what not to do, and characteristics of good mediation and all that. They're all written there in your book. Now, to transform conflicts into something positive, which is what you're trying to define here, conflict transformation, to transform conflict into something positive. In just about a minute, I would like you to talk about that. As you described in your book, what are 1, 2, 3 things that should be done in resolving conflicts as described in your book as we round up?
First of all, do not, as a mediator, ever show bias. Don't even try to get the the disputants. Don't get the disputants to at any point suspect you of siding with one of the disputants. That ruins the entire process. Right? So yeah, don't you ever, because now it's like you are there. You were there just as a neutral person, a neutral body, listening to this person, listening to that person, and at the end of the day, your whole mission is to make peace. Your whole mission is to reconcile the two individuals. And so, by the time you begin to take sides, or you're suspected of taking sides, that ruins it. And again, the setting is another thing. All right. If you read further down the book, you will see the setting It has to be like a table where everybody will be looking at everybody. You don't face anybody. You don't face the other disputant as against the other person. One could sit on your right and on your left, fine, it's welcome. But then don't sit and look at the other one and this other one is looking elsewhere. No, it doesn't work like that. So, and again, the other thing that we try to discourage when it comes to resolving conflicts, and one of the strategies there is that do not at any time engage in shadow diplomacy. Shadow diplomacy, and this way I can sum it up just simply. Now, do not go and hear from Mr. A and tell Mr. B that's what Mr. A says. And at the end of the day, you try doing it without them present. It doesn't succeed that way. It doesn't work.
Interesting.
All right. The three of you have to be there and look at each other eyeball to eyeball. Don't go and hear from this and then come and tell this one.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's enough teaser. I'm sure viewers who are listening, they are going to be very eager to pick up your book and read, because why I like it is it's very applicable at all levels, and there are conflicts everywhere, as we've discussed today, in homes, brother to brother, sister to sister, wife and husband, neighbor to neighbor, societies, and national level. We've got our own share of conflicts in Nigeria at national level and all that. So it's applicable at all levels. So well done. Time is not on our side. This is where we have to end this. Dr. Ugoh, thank you so much for sharing this gem with us. I love your book because it is so applicable at all levels. Home, societies, national level, international level. We all need to learn how to deal with conflicts. Thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
You're welcome. My pleasure too. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. So much to learn about conflicts. Imagine if we were so good at dealing with conflict. The world would be a much more peaceful place, wouldn't it? Well, this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life.